Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today we have a game from DJH-93, or Devon, in the Tier 6 Pan-Asian destroyer, the Fushun. And this is where I feel this line starts getting a little more competitive. It's got decent guns, decent torpedoes, though they are the deep water variety, so you're not going to be able to use it against those enemy destroyers. And overall, it feels a little better. This kind of Tier 4 5 I struggled in a bit, and then I started to find my legs getting into the Fushun. Now her torpedo range is technically longer than detection from stock, and then you can upgrade it further. That, of course, if you are running a concealment captain. You can see once upgraded you get about 2 kilometers of stealth fire, which is always nice in a destroyer. You think Tier 5, the Kamikaze, the damage it can do with its stealth fire. Now you've got deep water torpedoes that hit a whole lot harder. They just can't hit destroyers. And that's one thing that I still feel some people aren't learning. I've sailed these, and just because I get into a gunfight with someone, I've actually thrown my torps at other DDs out of these Pan-Asians just to get them to turn, and people do. I don't know if it's out of instinct going, oh crap, torps, before they look at what they are, but it's kind of funny to still use them to get DDs to duke and give you a broadside and let you kind of win the battle. Now off the bat here, Devon avoids the trap that is Destroyer Alley over in C, though a pink Glissonier, it decides, no, that's where I'm going. And that ship is completely alone. You can see most of Devon's team deciding we're going AB. Now, the big risk for Devon here getting out into the open, kind of all alone, is there are 2 carriers in this game, which means a lot of aircraft to potentially spot you. That said, B has this island in the middle that if you can get against, you can pretty much play Ring Around the Rosie all game and keep yourself more or less safe. Devon, though, opts for the option of pop and smoked, slowing down now that he's in cap, and I would expect, as he does, start firing on the Koenig. You've got friendlies detecting it, try to get some fires that the Koenig's going to put out, and then, more than likely, throw the torpedoes. At least, that's what I'd be thinking. And if you're ever playing with a destroyer, you know, using HE to just force a battleship to damage control can be a very effective tactic as a team for a small div to get a ship down. Now, Devon fires the first arrow, the second wide there. Unfortunately, it looked like the Koenig started to shift his rudder to the right, but he ends up doubling back, so this could turn out very deadly. And if you're in a battleship and you have a destroyer firing at you, you just have to be decisive about your turns. Had that Koenig continued right, he would have been more than likely fine, but that's not what he did. And realistically, if he had just turned left off the bat, he would be in a much better position. These torps are going to be close, and you know, those back sets just missing, but the one from the widespread looks like it's going to hit. No flood though, and that stinks. Really always hoping for that flood. Yeah, but you don't always get it. That said, this Koenig grounded itself and really is a sitting duck. Devon gets another fire right as his smoke runs out, and one of the really nice things with these Pan-Asian destroyers is their smoke isn't active as long, but he already has his next smoke ready. Couple seconds without, and your next one's right back up. Even more so if you're running the consumables and the flags and the commander skills to bring down those reload times. And that's kind of, I'd say, a major difference that I've noticed, at least when you're playing with smoke, particularly in the higher tiers, is something like an American DD has a much stronger single smoke. It's there longer, it's overall just a better smoke, but the cooldown is longer. These Pan-Asian destroyers have more smokes that are active far shorter, but the cooldown's quicker. So if you're playing in a team, you have these situations with the Pan-Asians where you're almost always going to have that smoke ready or nearly ready to be able to support an ally. And 3 big torpedo hits on that New York, who just sailed straight into them. Looks like the flood got repaired, so put the HE to use and try and light a fire, because it'll stick and should almost be enough to get that New York down along with some gunfire. The guns, though, as I said, are quite punchy. 2,500 damage out of that volley. That final volley there probably would have been hit, but a friendly New York sends all his shells at a very low health target, finishing him off. Meanwhile, back at sea, that Qckslvrslash, it died long ago. You can see the team pushing through. Devon's team has taken A by storm, and they've herded a lot of this enemy fleet kind of into the middle of the map, where Devon's able to take advantage of them, but as literally the most easterly ship, Devon needs to be careful that he doesn't get snuck up on from behind. Got a Graf Spee, a Gade, and a Cleveland back there. So I really feel in this situation, you know, you've got 2 things you could do. You could kind of fall back, group up with your team, or head south and, you know, play intermediary for the southern force. You could charge up north and try to get in behind these ships and just send a wall of torpedoes from point blank range. Or, you know, final option, try to get on these islands perhaps, or just stay in this general area to try to catch them as they come about. Now with 2 aircraft carriers, all of those options are going to be difficult. You're going to get spotted as he does, and you can see quickly locks onto the Cleveland, try to decide, you know, do I throw torps? You've got a Julio Cesare coming around the corner, and that Cesare is a deadly ship. It effectively is the new OP ship. It used to be the Nikolai. That was kind of like a ship people just go into to have a good game. I'd say it's now the Cesare. The AP on those Italian ships is just deadly. Now you can see Devon looking around for those aircraft, always worried in the smoke like this that, hey, they might just blind fire some torps or something at me. Now as the Cleveland commits to a direction, Devon finally launches his torpedoes, gets a fire that's quickly put out, and there are the torpedo bombers. So that's obviously a big concern for Devon, as he keeps just working down this Cleveland, who really doesn't seem to be getting the fact that there's torpedoes coming his way, and they had to have been spotted. He had aircraft overhead, and you know, they should have seen those torpedoes coming out of the smoke, but the Cleveland turns too late, eats 2 of them, and there's a ship down. Unfortunately, enemy DD gets aggressive, and that's going to push Devon out of this cap. He's pretty much held it solo this entire game, putting down some big damage and racking up, you know, 1 kill, but realistically 2. He did almost all the damage to that one New York. And I don't know what that German DD is doing. He's not playing it to its strengths, and, you know, lays a smoke for the team. Now starts shooting. The torps have been in the water for a while, but they've been spotted the whole time. No huge threat, though. The torps may not have actually been at Devon. Very well could be at this New York, who, well, eats them and goes down. And while the enemy team is fairly injured, I could see this really flipping hands quite quickly. It's just a way these matches seem to go sometimes, especially with how many ships are still kind of back here. And now you've got this Bayern kind of pushing in alone, the New York not far behind them, and if all these ships just start focusing down that Bayern, it'll probably go down. The issue is, you can see the enemy team's kind of doing this north-south. Some of them are focusing up in this area, the others are focusing down here, and that lack of focus fire means this Bayern really isn't taking all that much damage. Obviously, anytime you can as a team, focus fire is huge in just getting rid of ships quickly, on to the next, another ship down, and just establishing dominance. The last New York ate a lot of torpedoes, so the question becomes, will this one make the same mistake? You can see Devon under that speed necessary to be able to keep moving while deploying the smoke. Doesn't want to sit still too long. You do have the guide somewhere there. Could be looping around, but not in time to help that New York. And, well, there's the DD, so he's not really close enough to do anything else. Devon may not have gotten the kill on the New York earlier and done most of the damage, but he should be getting a kill here as he does on a Grash Bay that someone else did a lot of the footwork on. And that's just how ships works out. And that's why it's important not to like bark at your teammates about kill stealing. Sometimes targets appear and you're just going to shoot them. Other times you do a ton of damage to something and don't get the kill. Ultimately, it's all going to play out. You know, there's games you're going to get a Kraken that you didn't really have to work for. And I'm curious if they track the record for the lowest damage Kraken, because I was playing with a couple clanmates the other night, and we very well may have been pretty close. And it was simply, as a division, two of us were doing a lot of damage, and our destroyer just seemed to be getting the kills. Now as the smoke runs out, once again, Devon's already moving, keeping himself outside detection range, letting the guns fall silent as he leaves. And that Arizona's burning. You can see HE coming from allies, gets the torps into the water, and now you kind of just sit and wait and wonder, is this Arizona going to burn his damage control? And it doesn't look like he is. That said, maybe a little too late to dodge all those torpedoes, getting his rudder over, sailing straight into two of them. Well, no, just one. Gets a flood, and oh, so that's why he didn't damage control. He is flooding, burning in two places. This should come down. It's another kill, but who's going to get it? Devon's fire or the other, and it's actually Devon's shells that finish him off. It's up to 4 kills, just shy of 152,000 damage. This game's really in the bucket. You can see the enemy DD getting chased down there. The Julio, well, it's a strong ship, but it's pretty weak to aircraft. And, you know, both enemy CVs are dead. One fell victim to Hatsuharu up in the north. I don't know what happened to the other. I wasn't really paying attention up there. But either way, both are dead. And looking at the death positions, this CV, he was in a decent position. He wasn't too far away from his team. This one, you know, there's places on every map that CVs just like to go, and you just watch them sit there even as the enemies push in or you push in to them. I had a game like that last night where our CV sat in our cap and a DD just snuck in, and he saw it happen with his planes. He tagged us. I turned around to go help, but our CV made no effort to start running or try to get away. He just sat in his place and then began to berate teammates who didn't help him, which I always find a little curious. Like, you've got to help yourself too. You can't just be like, ping the map and then expect it to be dealt with. Ships take time to get places. And I feel a bit bad for the Césaire because he's just become the focus target. With only a DD remaining, he's really going to be the only thing that's ever spotted. And Devon just keeps the guns working, keeps getting fires, and just slowly increasing that damage toll. And obviously right now, there is a potential Kraken on the table for him, helped by the fact that they don't have too many caps. As I've said in a couple recent videos, it just seems like games are ending way more quickly because cap control gets established by one team, the enemy team doesn't really contest it, a couple deaths, and suddenly the game's over. But even with one cap, it only took a kill for this one to end. And the final result is quite impressive. Just a little under, well, good chunk under 500, but 420,000 credits, just shy of 15,000 experience, 7,000 base XP, got Confederate high caliber, 158,000 damage, 4 kills. Kraken would have been nice, but, and realistically could have happened if, you know, a fire ticket happened sooner on in New York or shells had landed, but didn't happen. 4 kills is still a great game, and regardless, the experience is there, the great, well-played game, and he basically just sat in the middle of the map the whole time. You know, he stayed in B, circled it, kept himself out of detection, used that smoke when he had it, and you pretty much always do have it with the Fushun, and kited when he didn't. Tried to force some fires and damage controls so that floods would stick, but the reality was most things his torpedoes hit pretty much died when the torpedoes hit. So while there are 7 floods, there wasn't a ton of actual flooding damage. There's some, but not a ton. Base XP just under 2200, top of team there with the 4 kills and that kind of damage. And it's kind of interesting always to look at post games and just see where certain ships wind up. And it's really odd to see, you know, ships that were there the whole game still alive on the bottom of the team. Normally it's someone who dies quite early. And there you can see the breakdown of the damage, the flooding causing a chunk, but not as much as the fires did, and not nearly as much as the guns and actual torpedoes did. End of the day, took home 350,000 credits and a large piece of XP. Thank you, Devin, very much for sending this one in. I enjoyed it. I've been enjoying the Fushun myself. Looking forward to getting through it and continuing up the line. I hope everyone else enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing or giving a like on the video. It always helps me out. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you all later.